movement is a universal cure-all, and I really think it's a cause and effect relationship for why our scores across the board of all of our elementary school kids here at Veterans Elementary has gone up. And if we could use movement, which science has backed up through neuroscience, in creating better learning environments, why are we waiting? After 5 minutes of staring at a screen, you could see the blank stare. I have phys ed classes that come in, my fifth graders taking standardized tests. I feel so bad for them because after sitting for 2 hours of taking these standardized tests, filling out bubbles, they come in and it depressed. I still don't get why movement isn't being involved more in our national society. I don't get it.
Hi, Kirk. Welcome to the Math and Movement Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Why don't you introduce yourself and share what you do?
Sure. My name is Kirk Hamel. I am a physical educator in Central Falls, Rhode Island. It is a urban district. It was by Ripley's, believe it or not, was said to be one of the most populated quarter square miles in our country at that time. So that kind of gives you a little heads up about the environment I work in. Uh, Besides that, it's a great city to teach in. I've been teaching here for 27 years. 2023, Patriots gave me an award for community service. This year, I got inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Central Falls Warriors. Uh, and there's been a couple other awards, but
Wow,
it's
congratulations.
been a good career so far.
And you're in Rhode Island, right?
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
Central Falls, Rhode Island,
Okay.
best town
And
ever. They call it Chocolateville.
how far is it from Providence?
It is only about 5 minutes from Providence, but
Okay.
if you know Rhode Island is 40 minutes driving 60 miles an hour. It's very small, and I teach in the smallest populated
hmm
quarter square mile in our state, so very
Yeah.
cool.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Math and Movement podcast. I'm so excited to ask you some questions about what you have been doing.
Thanks for
So,
having me. I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
thank you. So, how did you learn about math and movement?
In 2008, I started to get my master's and I was doing research for my final project, and I'm a very academic based physical educator. So just through research online, I read about your math and movement mats, and I was intrigued right from the beginning. And I actually included you in my final project. That it was a dream to
Wow.
start to use some of these math and movement mats to help my urban children out.
Mhm. Wow. Um, what made you decide, that or like what got you interested in combining academics and physical education class? Because I know you use math and movement, but you use a lot of other great strategies as well.
Yeah, growing up, I didn't do the best in school, C minuses. I always got by, but I just couldn't sit still in any classroom setting. But I knew whenever I was at home reading books that I liked to learn, but I needed to be standing and reading, or I needed to be moving. So as I went through my undergraduate studies, I realized that we don't have to have children sitting to learn. So that's why I kind of started off in 1998 teaching academics in phys ed, but by no means I don't leave out the physical education standards. I make sure I hit on those standards first and do my job. But then, if I realize there's a science or any teachable moment or math or reading, I have magnetic walls. I have a rock wall right here behind you. I will roll in anything, any concept that a child asks to learn at that moment, as long as I've hit my physical education goals.
I'm curious, have any teachers ever come to you to say, I have a hard time having this student sit still, why are you so successful in physical education class? Why are there no behavior problems in PE class? Whereas this particular student, you know, gives me a run for my money. I mean, it was really challenging.
So the whole school will send children down to me when they're dysregulated. And I don't know if you could see, I have a yoga wall, and
Yes.
there's a
Yeah.
dial in the far corner. It's the 12 steps of the sun salutation. So even while I'm teaching, if I see a dysregulated child come through those doors, they know it's kind of a safe setting for them, even though it's controlled fun, chaos, loudness.
Mhm.
I'm at home, dysregulated children are at home, and we talk about it, send them on their merry way, regulated, hopefully. So, yeah,
So instead of going to the principal's office to be disciplined, right?
yes.
They can come to you and have a very positive environment and get them regulated again and feeling good about themselves and sent back to their classroom.
Right. And I'm very proud to have my setting used as a behavior management system for our school,
Mhm.
where kids, we have fake dollar bills, and every time you see a good deed, you hand out a dollar bill. It's a PBX reward system.
Mhm.
And once they score $20, they can choose what they, art class, music, and they come to phys ed. So,
They
yeah.
choose they choose physical education. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, they choose you. That's what they choose because they know how
I honestly,
positive
I
you
think they
are and
choose
kind.
the phys ed activity. I think like there's so many excellent physical educators that our job is perfect. It's well suited for children to learn and any individual learning ability. So I think they don't choose me. I think they choose the phys ed setting that yes, maybe I have created and painted the walls and 27 years into this, I better be good at what I do, or I've been wasting a lot of children's time.
Yeah. Well, I just loved having you come to the training in Ithaca. I just love your energy
Mm.
and positivity. It's really encouraging.
I'm glad to hear you say that because sometimes I'm a little hyper on ADHD undiagnosed, but we never diagnosed it back then. We just
Yeah.
fell out of trees and got back up again. But
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. Your professional development was so I've had your mats for 2 years. Actually, it was 4 years, but it's funny. As soon as you sent me the threes, skipping by threes table mat to collect data, COVID hit and our school got shut down. So it was kind of a tough start for me to get into math and movement, and I kind of put that skipping by threes mat away. But the last 2 years, I dove into that skipping by threes, and I started to reach out to you. And once I found out about that PD, my school district knows me. They said this is exactly you. They gave me the 2 professional days. They supported me, and it was hard not to be with my students for those 2 days, but I came back full of mathematical movement energy. It was I I am all about math and movement, Mats. It's incredible what a drastic change it's making for my children. Thank you so much.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Tell me, what was it about the PD that really inspired you?
Hmm. I stood at the door and I noticed you were staring at me, but I was kind of shocked, and I apologize now that the amount of math and movement mats that you had on the floor on all three walls and the big glass facade when you walk through, I was very shocked about the amount of mathematical concepts. You also have literacy and reading, and you have many other maths that I never knew. So I was shocked when I first entered, and then I turned, and after reading about you since 2009 to actually meet you, it was a very surreal moment for me. Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you. What about the experience where the students came into the
Mhm.
PD?
I'm very comfortable now after over 2 decades teaching children, and I'll get 4 or 5 classes in here. I'll have over 100 kids in this room, and I love it. And when the students came in, I saw the ones that were nervous and the ones that were shy. So I like purposely went over to get them because, and then just to handle them and see them just open up with the math and movement. Because what child will be shy when you say, go ahead, jump and learn, go ahead, have fun, and talk to me about what you're learning. That's the best thing about that PD was that I heard all those different teachers teaching in their own styles, but
Mhm.
everyone obviously that went to that PD had a drive to teach math in an alternative way. So
Mhm.
I feel like the cohort that was there, I am friends with all of them forever. And just like that family atmosphere of like-minded people was like
Mhm.
a boost to like keep going where I'm going so I'm not alone.
That really was such an amazing PD. The kids were they were so engaged. They made really good progress.
Incredible progress.
And what's interesting about it is most of the educators that come to the PD really don't have experience with movement-based learning before they start.
Right.
And we just are like, let's just dive in.
Mm.
And they realize there's not really a right or wrong way to use movement-based learning. It's really more about what questions your student has. And then the educator can just address those questions right away.
Yeah, I noticed some of the classroom teachers that were there, they were very timid. But once the students came in, and it's probably very hard for a classroom teacher to be very used to static learning where a child isn't kinesthetically moving. And I feel like for the classroom teachers, there was a little, I don't want to say anxiety, but like by no means, no problem, totally understandable. But the anxiety that some of them had in the very first 2 or 3 minutes once we were paired off with our children, I could hear them being like, yeah, I guess you can get up and jump and move. But like after about 5 minutes, the roar of laughter, not right away, the kids were having fun, but the adults in the room that were worried about the behaviors, you could tell after 5 minutes that like even the teachers, the classroom teachers started jumping on the mats with the children, high-fiving everywhere, and like everyone was moving and learning. It was a very cool PD to see classroom teachers buying in, and I understand why the anxiety. And there's
Right, right,
I mean, mental health issues right now in the schools is a very sad
right,
situation. And
right.
we could say it's COVID, we could say it's screen time, we could say whatever you want. It's
Mhm.
a problem.
It's a problem, right?
It's a problem. So classroom teachers are having a very hard time with
Right.
children focusing and engaging and learning. And the cool thing about math and movement is that whenever a child made a mistake, the classroom teachers weren't uh, 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 pausing to try to help them because when the child made a mistake, they're moving. So the classroom teachers were like, "Oh, that's okay," and the kids were like, "Of course that's okay," and they went right back to the beginning of the mat and just jumped through. Where I remember for myself learning math, it was very hard to kind of make a mistake in a classroom setting, raise your hand, and you think you got the answer and it's the wrong answer, and I will never raise my hand again. So the
Right,
math
right,
and movement math is definitely a way to destigmatize the act of being wrong for a child in math and that they can attempt again and again and again. Just have fun.
right. And that's so powerful because when students make mistake and then they can correct themselves, that's going to really make connections in the brain. That's how they're really going to remember that information. But no one's going to do that if you raise your hand, you make a mistake, and you're just humiliated. You're like, oh, I'll never do that again. But
Right,
instead, if you're like, I'm going to correct myself. Oh, that wasn't right. Okay, let me figure out what the right answer is. And the speed, so we know that practice is really important, but when you add movement, you have so many more opportunities to practice. Fun practice. They just do it over and over and over again.
right.
They're
So I've
fun.
really been into the neuroscience of movement. And for the last 16 years, I've been collecting fitness test data.
Hmm.
And I'm working with Brown University right now, and we're going through an IRB approval to get this data to be used. And I, I feel like for the urban setting I'm in, I will be able to help promote the act of movement in neuroscience and learning academics. And we need to make a change because, I mean, we're performing like a third world country academically. And I mean, what gives? And we need to change. The protocol isn't working. So we need now to
Right,
make a change in the mental health issues. And it's just compounding. And
right.
just after
All,
being teaching for 27 years, you know, it'll be okay, but I am getting worried about this generation.
right. I am too. I am too. And that's really why I spend a lot of my energy on third grade, is because in third grade, that's the first year of state testing, but there's a lot of students that have arrived in third grade and they do not have foundational math skills. And that's really hard on the third grade teacher. And it's not that the kindergarten, first, and second grade teachers are not working really hard. It's just the approach that they're using.
Right,
You're
right,
having the kids sit down, it's like the brain shuts down and is not absorbing information versus being up and moving, the brain's really active and you can learn information at such a fast rate.
right. I started my longitudinal study a long time ago to prove that movement increases more learning. The
Hmm.
amount of studies out now that prove that. So when the two doctoral students came to me and they heard about my longitudinal study and they were like, "Oh, can we dig into it?" And they were like, "What are you trying to prove?" I'm like, "Well, I was trying to prove that movement will create more learning. It's just a mute point now. It's no longer a need to make that study anymore. So they're going to come up with a study based on urban fitness and the environment of the cities and the presidential fitness test being mandated now. I'm really hoping the Department of Education, and I'm actually talking to National Fitness Foundation, and hopefully they'll take my data and incorporate it into the norm reference test data.
Good.
So our
Good.
presidential fitness test awards will be given to also inner city children who don't have the wide open spaces to complete the mile run, or
Right.
there's the
Right.
dynamics of the environment just isn't the same as a rural suburban area.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you mentioned to me that a couple of years ago you had a conversation with your director of curriculum and said, "Hey, I really want to do some math and movement." And
Yeah,
this individual was really supportive of you. So
Joey Souza.
tell me about that.
So the turnover rate here is frequent. So I've been through many principals. The superintendent we have now, she's been here for 8 years, so she's incredible. We hired a new chief academic officer. Her name's Joy Souza, and she came in a couple times to watch me teach, and she couldn't believe that like academics. And I have she came in and saw I have word wall magnets and the
Mhm.
kids create sentence structure and I teach nouns, pronouns, suffixes, prefixes. Like it's so she actually popped in one day and I happened to be, thank goodness, doing that sentence structure lesson. So after that, she was like, "All right, who are you? What are you doing?" So I told her I knew about Suzy Kuntz and I know math and movement, and I just couldn't have enough fundraisers to come up with to afford. And she's like, "I've got you." She's like,
Mhm.
"What do you need?" And she asked if I would run professional development with the other elementary physical educators here, and I had no problem doing it. And I think next year I'm going to run a professional development for my elementary teachers here at Veterans Elementary School.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So tell me how you use math and movement in a physical education class. And if you want to, pick up and walk, I mean, I see you have
If
some
you don't
math.
mind,
I think it would be great. Show us around. Show us what you do.
sure. I thought you'd never ask. So I don't know if moving the computer around will, I'll try not to move it too much. So my structure for setting up math and movement in the beginning of the year is I teach one mat at a time. So I usually start with the making sevens.
Okay.
So making sevens is a mat where you have one child jump on a number, and I have a partner figure out what makes seven based on that number that that child is standing on. So once I set up one mat at a time, every week I'll teach a new math and movement mat. And after about, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 weeks, I have all these mats taught to all my first graders. Once all these mats are taught, I end up having kindergarten children come in and they peer teach the kindergarten
Oh,
children.
love it.
So they are getting extra practice with what I taught them with the math concepts for each mat, and every mat is a different concept. So
Mhm.
once they have taught the kindergartners, I test them.
So this is
So
your first grade. Your first grade is that you teach the first grade
yep,
all of those mats, all of the concepts, and then once you do that, then the kindergarten comes in and do you partner them one on one, like partner two
one
students?
first grader with one kindergartner. I'll have
Okay.
kindergartners against one wall, first graders against another wall. You two, introduce yourselves, say your name.
Mhm.
And I kind of prep up the first graders like, you're the big people. Teach
Yes.
them how to be honest, caring, respectful,
Right.
responsible. I
Right.
also have my word wall. So my only rules in my class are be honest, be caring, be respectful, be responsible. If you're
Mhm.
doing all those four things, you are going to make tons of money when you get older. So I expect you to start carrying that right away from kindergarten. So my first graders are really good about like, all right, Mr. Hamel doesn't want you. So the social emotional part of that lesson is the biggest learning objective that I obtain. On top of that, it's also making sure they know a difference between a hop and a jump,
Mhm.
a leap. So there's the 10 frame mat where once you go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I make sure they're balancing on one foot and they leap from the 5 all the way to the 6, which is a difficult leap. But I'm also teaching gross locomotor skills, and my
Right. Right.
kindergartners are having a tough time. So when I do the math and movement mats, I am not straying away from my physical education standards. I'm embracing my profession, but I'm also at the same time helping these children learn math concepts that they're falling behind. And by the time they get to third grade, they don't know a 10 frame. They don't know really this is a group of five. This is another group of five. That adds up to 10. And I think like without that solid structure, as you well know, they're not going to be able to do multiplication and going on to there's also a mat with geometrical shapes and it says the amount of sides on it. So even though that's a concept that's too old for them, I feel like kindergarten and first grade being exposed to experiential learning of just
Mhm.
to hey, this is what a triangle looks like, this is but this
Right.
also has three sides. So when they get to fourth or fifth grade, they'll be able to hit those math concepts. So that's a co-peer teaching lesson that I'm involved in right now. My last class left the gym. They set up all the mats. They break down all the mats. I'll have to break down these mats, but not a big deal.
And what I love about that is also the leadership opportunity. So here you've got a group of first grade students and you're developing leadership skills right away.
I always give my kids a chance to present. So if they know something that I'm teaching and they raise their hands and I could tell the depth of knowledge is there, whatever it is I'm teaching, I'll be like, so smart. How about you do it? And some of them are like, oh, no, 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 not me. And I'll say, okay. But by the time my kids get to fifth grade with me, they come in just exuberating, wanting to be leaders and show. And everyone cooperates here. I'm not a leader. I will take charge, but only if it's necessary to control the learning environment. But besides that, they own this just as much as me, and it's a shared, beautiful thing. I love it.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I mean, just so it's physical education class, but when you're meeting all of the standards for PE, they're learning all of those skills. They're also learning the math concepts, they're learning leadership. They have infused with SEL, I mean, this is just really an amazing classroom that you've created.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, especially coming from you. Thank you.
Tell me some more of those ideas that you've been doing in your physical education class. I really like the link of the PE standards that you continue to teach, but yet, of course, you're teaching math simultaneously.
Right. So I started after school program, and I call them M&Ms. They're my
Okay,
little M&Ms. So it was with my MLL kids. They're learning the English language,
okay.
and just to give them a little bit of boost. And by the time they leave me in fifth grade, that I have those math skills. But also during M&Ms, I've been also rolling in the sentence structure. I have a. Do you mind if I pick up my computer?
Please show me.
Here is my rock wall.
Oh, amazing. And that looks like an academic rock wall.
It is an academic rock wall. It took me about 2 years of selling hot dogs and burgers, and my musician friends and we played out a couple of times, and all the money went into getting this rock wall. So it's dry erase boards, it's magnetic. The green is the easy way, yellow is a little harder, red is super difficult, which I can't even get through. Yeah, that's my academic rock wall.
Wow. And then do you have words on there too? What are the white
Yes.
boxes?
So these are, and they could choose. So I
Oh,
have dry erase markers hanging, but they can also choose to create words. They could
okay.
just sign their name, and I feel like building the endurance of the muscles while they're hanging on with one hand, trying to write and it's hilarious to see them fall down. And if they fall down, they have to start back at the very beginning of the rock wall. So
Wow.
that is a big part of my academic push. I think I got that wall in 2004. So that's been my baby.
And then you say that it's magnetic also
Yep.
on the rock wall, so then you can have the magnetic letters or endings of words, and they can do that.
Kindergarten kids will need to learn how to spell, but my fifth graders, they come in and they could do sentence structure while they're hanging. So one of the friends will climb and bring a word over to them. It's just turns into a cooperative activity too. So it's
Wow.
perfect for K through 5. It's such a good
Wow.
rock wall.
Show me, maybe pick up the computer and go
Sure.
to one of the math and movement mats.
Sure.
And I think the listeners will want to be reminded of the PE standards about a hop and a jump. I think that
Sure.
that's important for everybody to know.
Sure. So right here is the whole part whole. So it's a very basic thing for kindergarten. And I don't know here. I can put this down. How's that? Can't.
Yep, that's good.
So heart, whole body, heart, heart, whole body. So it
Oh,
starts
right.
teaching them the basic concepts of fractions.
Mhm.
Let me see. So also, I put blue tape on this map, and I put this one as odd numbers.
Okay,
So they have to leap 1, 3, 5, and they have to say it out loud as they can, because we're in the gym and you could yell. But in the
right.
classroom, I understand. This is the same mat right here, but I labeled this one in evens, and they need to step or leap from each one. This is
Okay.
my making 8 mats.
Mhm.
So a child will maybe jump. I have them do a long jump and as far as they can jump. If they land on a 3, they stay on the 3, and the other partner steps on this and says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5
Okay.
plus 3 makes 8.
Hmm.
Here's the geometric shapes map. Can you see?
Yes.
All right, excellent. This is the vegetables rolling in nutrition.
Right. Right.
And I asked them if they want to skip, not skipping, but if they want to skip a number. So skipping on the mats, galloping on the mats, it's not possible. So we stick with the jump 2 feet, hopping on 1 foot, or the leaping, traversing from 1 foot to the other.
Mhm.
This is the 10 frame mat I was talking about. So they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and from the 5, they need to leap onto their other foot and land on the 6. And if they
Okay.
lose their balance, they have to start again.
Okay.
So that's how I incorporate a lot of the physical education standards in with these mats. One of my
Beautiful.
favorite mats is 0 through 30, counting by threes. This is the
Mhm.
mat I started on. And during COVID, I started I still taught during the day online in the little cubicles. But then after school, I came into the city and I brought my threes tables mat. And I got permission during COVID to have outdoor physical education. So
Okay.
I got permission from the town halls. I reserved some of the parks and I had the kids all come during COVID with masks.
Right.
And I laid out carpets, then I laid out the equipment, and the threes tables mat was one of those mats that will go down in history in my life.
Wow, you just do so much in your PE class. It's incredible. And I
Thank
think
you.
it's really good for PE teachers specifically to know that you're not, you're still doing the PE standards. You're just, adding so much more.
So
Um,
when I presented to my elementary phys ed teachers after COVID, and I got the threes tables mat, and then Suzy, my chief academic officer, gave me the approval to go ahead and get this kit for the
Mhm.
primary age level. Trying to get my elementary phys ed teachers to roll academics into phys ed, we're very worried with our evaluations. So as teachers, we're all being evaluated,
Mhm.
and you want to pass your evaluation to keep your certification for your state. So that hanging over your head, your learning objectives in your standards in your profession have to be hit. So a lot of my elementary phys ed teachers are very worried about whenever the boss is watching or when an out of district evaluator is in watching, how do we roll that in? And that's how I presented to you is the same way I presented to them. And they're starting to roll all these mats out. And I'm labeling them and we're starting to like reserve them so we could share them. So it is a process, but I could see the snowball effect starting. And next year, I'm going to start the snowball effect and roll my classroom teachers into this
Mhm.
snowball.
Right, because it's, when we know that kids need at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day. So there is physical education class, and that's great. And then that's going to meet some of that standard, but not the full amount. So we need classroom teachers to include physical activity.
Yeah, the kids, our obesity has been uh, for way too long. Along with the mental health issue, obesity crisis has been such an ongoing issue. And
Right,
with our nutritional push, we're, I'm sorry, we're failing. We're failing. Sad.
right, right. So that's why I really want to reach both PE teachers and classroom teachers. I mean, I think it's both. What types of practical advice could you give to teachers? So a teacher that's saying, no, maybe I don't have time to do it. I have too much on my plate, which is true. We all do.
True.
What type of advice would you give to them?
So, my first grade teachers, when they come in to pick up their children, uh, what are you doing? Mr. Hamel, what are you doing now? So, for the last 2 years, they've been seeing me roll one mat at a time. And this year, I have this circle format. And when they come in and they see all the kids engaged, and I'm kind of like just there. And they're teaching each other. They're all doing an amazing job. So when the teachers come in and they see how it's going, they ask to borrow just one mat. And I
Uh-huh.
show them, I'll have all their class line up and I'll show them, I'll bring 2 kids over and I'll say, just do this. And it takes 2 minutes to have this mat out, have a line of kids in the classroom on each side. And even if everyone doesn't get a turn, just to have one or two children get a chance to hop or jump with 2 feet through it, and then put the mat away. You don't have to, and the behaviors aren't an issue because if you have all of them counting out the number that the child is landing on, uh, it's just so a lot of my teachers have bought in this year, and it's a pleasure to see that there's movement being involved in the classroom and there isn't any behaviors. And if anything, they're stemming any behavioral issues from allowing blood flow and the
Right.
neuroscience of blood flow to the brain and John Rady's push with his Spark book. And just like
Mhm.
we all know that extra blood flow to the brain feeds the nutrients, and that's just the food that the brain needs to learn. So it's a proven fact now. And I know teachers also know these studies.
Mhm.
It's very scary for a teacher to have movement in the classroom because there's desks, there's chairs, there's pencils, there's a sink, there's all these things. But I mean, for a mat to be rolled out and kids standing on the side of the mat, they're protected within that perimeter of children. So the jumpers, they have no chance of banging into a desk, tripping on a chair. And really, most of my classrooms are wide enough. There's an alleyway somewhere between the chairs, however they have the setup in the classroom, where they could roll out a mat and have the kids stand up. There's
Right.
no moving desks. There's no, I mean, you see how narrow these mats are, and to have the children just with their toes on the edge of the mat
Right.
and
Right.
people jumping through. 2 minutes. And if they all want to take a turn, it's 5 minutes. The whole class of 20, 25 kids, 27 kids, they all get a turn if you have the 5 minutes. But if you don't have the 5 minutes, I feel like the kids in our school are appreciating the teachers for understanding their fidgety, like just normal kid behaviors. So it's
Right.
good to
Right.
embrace that.
Right. Um, and I have found that behavior has is there's not behavior issues. I mean, once you recognize that a child is a child and they need to move, and you give them that opportunity to move, they're just so much better behaved.
Yeah, we're fighting it. We're fighting it, and I think now the increase of screen time during a
Mhm.
school setting, we went the wrong way. And I know COVID kind of opened up our eyes to the use of the screens, and I I agree of the use of screen time. And all the phys ed teachers, please hear me out.
Mhm.
The use of screen time is beneficial for some kids who need that type of learning, just focused, and very simple. But most children, they're not going to learn. After 5 minutes of staring at a screen, you could see the blank stare. I have phys ed classes that come in, my fifth graders taking standardized tests. I feel so bad for them because after sitting for 2 hours of taking these standardized tests, filling out bubbles, they come in and it depressed. They're
Mhm.
in trying to get them up and moving. Even their movements are off. Where I've known these kids since kindergarten, and
Right.
now to have them and knowing their movements and their balance abilities being off, neurologically, I don't agree with the amount of screen time we're using.
Right. Right. And I have heard from so many educators that that their scores are actually going down. The learning is going down. So less learning is happening, more screens, less learning.
I'd
But
like to say that our standardized test scores just came out, and I don't want to show off or anything, but we just had usually we get 9 kids that leave the MLL program. We had 22 children this year. I've never in the 2 decades teaching had 22 kids that I heard had. We're incorporating more movement. We have a principal now, Michael Carlene, that is uh, recess is core value to him.
Mhm.
Movement, he comes in and encourages the PBIS rewards where the kids come down for gym, the behavior management system that we have, and kids that are dysregulated, he's like, oh, go. And we're not rewarding kids for misbehaving. We need to regulate them and not discipline them. So I feel there are situations, yes, discipline consequences for causing trauma to themselves or others, yes, all right. I know you can't come into the gym. But that being said, I want to collect data on the amount of movement that our school has incorporated in the last year or two. And I really think it's a cause and effect relationship for why our scores across the board of all of our elementary school kids here at Veterans Elementary has gone up.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And you know what? You're the champion of movement-based learning for the whole school. You're bringing it in. You're sharing, more movement. We need more movement. Just by showing it when the first grade teachers come and pick up the kids and you're like, "Oh, look, here's an activity you can do here. Take this mat. You can bring
Yeah,
this back to your classroom." I mean, that's what I call the champion of movement-based learning.
thank you. I appreciate
Mm.
that. And what's cool is my kindergarten teachers, I'm like, can I borrow your kids for 10, 15 minutes during your math lesson?
Mhm.
And they're like, no, good luck. Here you go. And they're in here with me, and I love to see their eyes like watching it work in action. So I can tell where this is all going and how many more children will effectively learn in
Right.
before I retire. Oh, let's do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. What other things might you want to share with anyone who's listening? I'd say specifically to PE teachers. What would you want to share to PE teachers? And maybe I'll ask this question more directly. Any PE teachers that are really hesitant to try using math and movement, what would you say to them?
Uh, you can still hit your phys ed standards. So coming from a phys ed teacher's point of view, we're very worried about movement. And the depth of knowledge of the kinesthetic properties of how a movement, how a throw, opposite foot, balance, center of gravity. Like we're like in it to win it with that, but it doesn't take that much more effort to continue to hit all of our learning objectives and roll in other concepts and not just math. It just when a child says, "Why did that fall?" and talk about Newton's laws and like just why, just any why at all. I feel a phys ed teacher is blessed to be able to be in this environment to teach everything at any moment, at any time. But
Mhm.
also, that being said, you definitely have to be prepared to set back and stop the academic inclusion if you feel that your class isn't moving well together. If children are bumping into each other, if maybe you start doing spatial awareness, roll up the mats, go through tag games, get 4 foot pool noodles, and this is how far you need to be, and then gradually give them 2 footers and then gradually give them little tiny foam pool noodles, and then try to work your way back. So that being said, definitely try to roll in academics, but as phys ed teachers, movement could be a very dangerous situation. We do have to hit our priorities of setting these children up for a lifetime of movement abilities where they'll fall out of a tree like a cat. Yeah, like we need to set that up first and foremost because that's why we're getting paid. We got hired for that job.
Right.
But once
Absolutely.
you have hit those basic standards and especially by the end of the year, effective phys ed teachers within the first month or two have the basic safe movement values enduring throughout all the students. So once you get to that point, why not help them with the broad life skills of academics? It's
Mhm.
just kind of a no-brainer for me, but I understand my other phys ed teachers and dealing with behaviors and movement disabilities and you just based on each child. I think you have to definitely individualize your instruction and perhaps getting that child that has movement disabilities, if you're doing an academic integration, have them paired with somebody with higher movement abilities that
Mhm.
can hit those core learning objectives by reciprocal teaching.
Right.
And I, and then you still get to roll in academics without focusing on that one individual in your classroom that's having a tough time. But you're still individualizing the instruction to increase academics, but also get that movement of disabled child better able to perform.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing you saying is you have to spend a little bit of time introducing movement. What are the norms? What are the rules around movement? But once you
Right.
do that, then it makes a lot of sense to be able to include the math and movement activities.
Right. I suggest I don't start rolling out math and movement or doing any academics. Or even when they climb the rock wall at the beginning of the year, I I don't have the magnets up. I don't have my dry erase markers hanging. I do movement and
Mhm.
I socialize them. So my first month is social movement. How do we all be honest, caring, respectful, responsible together? Here, don't lie. You make other people. So I feel like as phys ed teachers, you have to start, even with your fifth graders, even my fifth graders, the first month, social learning, because we'll always have new children coming in who haven't experienced our veterans elementary culture. So I
Mhm.
feel allowing these kids to have that time to learn before you start interdisciplinary instruction and rolling in more difficult uh, 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 lesson plans. So the
Mhm.
first month, maybe 2 months kindergarten, maybe 3 or 4 months before you even roll academics in, and make sure we have our social emotional values throughout every individual. And then you could start tweaking out all the cool stuff.
Right, right. I think that's really helpful for to share with other PE teachers.
Yeah, that's how I could see where somebody, a phys ed teacher, would be hesitant to use math and movement maths because of the behaviors and because of the movements of kids rolling on the mats. And if
Mhm.
you're rolling on the mat, you're not learning math. And why even have the math out if you're asking them to hop, skip, jump, leap? All those gross locomotors have to be taught in those first 2 or 3 months with all the social emotional activities that teach them how to play together
Right,
and
right.
able to lose. So we were talking a little bit earlier about doing a math problem and I raising my hand when I was a little kid and getting it wrong. And I remember never raising my hand again. With movement, if a kid's learning how to skip, but everyone's skipping, they're not even seen, but you could go up to them and be like, step hop. And you
Mhm.
go next to them and it's not, there's no fear involved with movement. So when you make a mistake with movement, it's okay because
Right.
there's other children, or even if they're alone, no one even notices their mistakes. So it's a really cool environment to start off with. Enrolling math and academics in when they're trying to do sentence structure, kids have a tough time with nouns and verbs and adjectives, and it's okay. And children teaching children and getting the rid of fear of being wrong in a phys ed setting is
Right.
such a perfect setup for us.
And physical education is almost all children's favorite subject in school.
Should be,
Yeah, they
or they're doing it wrong.
right. They love it.
Sorry. I really hope that more academics gets rolled into physical education. So when I first started, I was never diagnosed, but I couldn't sit still. I see so many children and the rise in autism, the amount of mental health, the movement is a universal cure-all. And if we could use movement, which science has backed up through neuroscience and creating better learning environments, why are we waiting? I don't, and I know I'm coming from 27 years in teaching, and but I still don't get why movement isn't being involved more in our national society. I don't get it.
And I think it will more now, now that the book has come out from ASCD. I think that's really going to be a game changer. I think more and more schools will learn about the research behind movement-based learning and why it's so
Right.
important. And so,
I the Activate Math book, the amount of references to evidence-based practices, you you and Kirby did a lot of work researching and pulling in other neuroscience, and you proved very well of how it has to work. And we already have evidence proving that movement matched with academics, in your case, math, is working. So I hope a lot of people read that book and it ends up changing their philosophy of adding movement in the classroom. And even recesses. Why not hang an alphabet and the kid taps A, B, C? Like just, and that's just fun, free play. And why not have stuff on the walls, on the floors? It's just, we need to set up our environments to learn while they're moving. And
Right.
yes, assessing, sit them down by all means, when you're assessing a child, sit them down. I sit them down all the time. I give them core words in every sport, and they need to write the core words, and it's a major part of their grade. So I do penmanship, which isn't a part of school anymore, but I'll do penmanship if I can't read what you wrote. Sorry, I'll do spelling for third grade and up. But even kindergarten, just put the first letter of the word, even if you know how to spell, because cognitively matching up. So physical educators, cognitive, affective, emotional. We need to include everything in, and it's just a no-brainer to roll academics into movement. And I really hope we start to do more of it to increase our kids' scores.
I really hope that physical education teachers can come and see you in your classroom and just see all the amazing things that you're doing.
I am an open, thick-skinned. Tell me, I've heard it all. I've heard I'm not doing a good job, and I'm listening, and I will change, I will morph, and I will do anything. So, anyone that wants to come, please. My gym is mi casa su casa.
Oh, amazing. So I want to ask just one other question, and
Sure.
that is finish this sentence.
Hmm.
Students learn math best when,
They are engaged and focused and moving while they're learning math. And there won't be any behavioral issues. You will see a dramatic increase in the percentage of kids that learn. Our professional development, we collected that data. Those children, those 20 kids were there for, what was it, 20 minutes? We gave them a pretest. We did the post test, and then we crunched the data, and it was well over 100%. Like it was,
200% increase.
was it 200? I so I so I've also I'm a data nut. I'm definitely a phys ed geek with like the data push, and I always collect data on my academics and make sure that what I'm doing is working. It's incredible when you see the dramatic increase, and I just wish there was more buy-in about movement in academics because it works.
There will be. It's up and coming.
Let's do it.
Good. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. It was just so great to see your classroom and just to hear your experience. Thank you very much.
I can't believe you had me on and even asked me, Suzy. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. It was so good to meet you last month, and look at us now.
Thank you for listening to the Math and Movement podcast. And a special thank you to the amazing educators around the world, making learning come alive every day. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of the individuals who shared them. For books, resources, and upcoming events, visit mathandmovement.com. Keep moving, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.